Okay, well, a massive hello out there. This is a video I've been trying to make for probably at least 3 months, and things have kind of aligned. The planets have aligned, and now is a really good time. So firstly, I should say, if you're not subscribed, please do so. It really does help. And there's also a membership as well with things like you know, things you can do on your car kind of maintenance and stuff, and people ask questions and I create new videos and stuff like that. So check that out if you might be interested. So what are we going to do today? Well, I've got all these diagnostic tools and we're going to see how good they are. Now, Diag on EVs can be interesting because lots of the tools just don't support electric vehicles, or they sort of support them, but when you get into it, you know, it's not that good. It kind of supports it on the surface, but when you dig down, they don't actually work that well. But yeah, we've got a range of tools here. So should we start at the bottom or should we start at the top? Let's start at the top because this is what I use all the time. So this is my AUTEL. I bought it secondhand, so it wasn't that expensive, but if you're going to buy a system like this, something that a garage would use, something you're going to use every day that you know is going to do pretty much whatever you want, you're going to be spending at least £1,000, probably 1,500 quid. This one hasn't been updated for a couple of years, so we know it has some limitations, but it kind of gives us an idea of what a garage spec diagnostic tool should do. Okay, it might not be able to do latest vehicles, but just because of updates. But in terms of vehicles it covers, if I did update it, it would do everything. The vehicles it covers, it does them very well. Okay, and we'll talk in a minute about specifically what you need them to do. Kind of moving down the list, iCarsoft. So iCarsoft make loads of different tools, and they make tools that will just do certain brands or certain markets of vehicle, like French cars or you know, Japanese cars, that kind of thing. So the benefit there is you can buy a tool with limited makes, but is a lot cheaper. So they're obviously there aiming at, you know, someone who's at home with the car on their drive. And I started with, when I started really getting into diagnostics, I started with the iCarsoft tools because I worked on limited brands, basically. And I found them really good. I was really impressed. The data and the fault codes and the fault code descriptions were basically as good as an AUTEL, and I was really impressed. There were some top end things it didn't do, but I mean, I was paying about £100 for a tool that would do French cars, and I was working on Zoe's, or I did quite a lot of Mitsubishi, the Mievs and stuff like that, early EVs. So I've had a few different of these, and they've always been really good. So this one is one of their more pro ones. So they're obviously aiming more into garages. This is about a £250 tool. And we'll see how that goes. And I should say iCarsoft have provided this to me for testing purposes, so I didn't pay my own money for this. But this will be a non-biased review. I have not said that I'm going to give it a good review. And actually part of the reason that this sort of discussion has taken so long is because on this tool I actually went back to them with some feedback on a different on that one, not on this one, but on that one I went back with some feedback and they actually improved it. So yeah, so they provided this to me free. It's about £250, and we'll see how that goes. I expect big things from that, partly because I know iCarsoft from the past and how good they've been, and that's on their more basic tools. So I expect big things from this, but also this is a more expensive tool, so it needs to be good. It needs to live up to sort of expectation and what, you know, and the price you're paying for it. Moving down, I've got a sort of app-based one. So Kingbolen have also provided this to me just for the purpose of testing. Again, I've agreed to review it, but I've not agreed to say it's fantastic. If I have problems with it, I will be telling you. Yeah, so on this one, some of how the data was laid out was, I mean, I'll get into the detail in a minute, but yeah, just between the different variants of Zoe, I kind of went back with some feedback and they updated the software and pushed it out for me. So we will see how good that is now. I've had a quick review of it, but how good is it? And Topdon, this is interesting because Topdon, so I paid my own money for this. It was about £50, saw it online, I thought, well, give it a go. Didn't do too much research into it, probably should have done. But Topdon is a big brand. I know a garage who have a Topdon diagnostic tool, It's probably about twice the size of this massive like A4 size tablet, which costs the garage about £4,500. So Topdon is a big brand. They do a lot of stuff. Is their cheap tool any good? Is it any good for EVs specifically? It might be good for fossil cars, but I'm not really interested in that. We could test these on fossil cars, but it's going to work, isn't it? Basically, we're not really interested in that. Yeah, I don't have an interest in fixing fossil cars, and these will all work on fossil cars because that stuff it's well known. It's all water under the bridge. What we want to know is, do they support EVs? Do they give you the data you need to fix EVs? So specifically, what are we going to look at? So yeah, coverage of EVs, ECU coverage. So Zoe's change over time and the ECUs get updated. Sometimes with these diagnostic tools, they sort of will cover the Zoe, but then as changes come in and ECUs get updated and improved, or new versions come out, then they don't connect to the new ECUs. A bit like this hasn't been updated, so its coverage of the ZE50 is a bit limited, where the ECUs have been updated. Obviously, if the ECUs are the same as they used to be in the older ones, I can still talk to them. But if there's a new version, it can't talk to it. So can these talk to later ECUs? I have to say one of the real benefits of these tools is the software updates. So with an AUTEL, this is now out of date because you have to pay for updates, and it's a lot. They obviously want you to buy a new tool, and they want you to buy a new one that's got 2 years free software updates, and then either buy a new one or pay for software updates, which is expensive. And that's their model, and that's fine. That works for garages. Garages will pay lots of money to make sure they've got the latest, everything up to date. Whereas this is obviously more for the home market. Okay, this is pushing into garage spec, but still keeps free lifetime software updates, and that's one of the big things. The other thing is the support. I know that both of these have really responsive support. So I know iCarsoft does, because over the last 5 years I've been dealing with iCarsoft, and numerous times I've gone to them and said, oh, this vehicle or this ECU is not recognized, and within about 24-48 hours they ask you basically to turn on logging on your device and then scan the car and all that kind of stuff. You send them the data. Yeah, and then within a day or two, they'll say, please update your device. And then it can talk to it. And you're not paying anything ongoing for that, which is fantastic. Similarly, these guys did an update for me as well. So that's really good. So big benefit to these tools is the ongoing support. You're not having to pay. So one of the other things I'm looking for, once obviously you can, the tool can see the ECUs on the car, is you want to be able to see the live data. You want, as well as like fault codes and the fault code, it finding all the fault codes, the fault code description being good, so it's interpreting it correctly. Okay, you get a code that says, I don't know, let's think of a good example. So what have we got outside? So an interlock, right, is a really good example. So all of these orange connectors have interlocks, and it's just a little like jumper connection so the car knows whether it's plugged in or not, because it won't power a connector unless it thinks it's plugged in. So inside there's obviously all the main pins in here, all the big power pins, but then there's just like a little jumper connection. If you're into PCs for years ago, you know about putting little jumpers on the back of your CD-ROM drive or anything like that. It's just a little U-shaped bit of metal, and it just makes a connection and the car knows it's plugged in. You can have interlock faults on a car, and that might mean that cable's not properly in. It might just mean there's a bad connection or the interlock circuit has a fault. But to diagnose that, you get the fault code, interlock open. It might tell you that it's to do with the battery, but the battery's got multiple connectors. Might be to do with under the bonnet area. But you want to see the status of all those interlocks, close, 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 open. I know which one the car is referring to. The fault code says there's an interlock open, but which one is it? You need the live data to dig into it. And I've had an issue with Zoe's a couple of times. So that connector there is the main one from the battery. And on sort of 2018, 2019 vehicles, occasionally when you rebuild them, you plug that one in, it's all seated correctly, but it's just got a slightly poor connection, whether it's a little bit of corrosion or something. You take it off and put it back on and it's not quite making a connection, but you can see in the live data, you wiggle it and it goes close, open, close, open, close, open. And you know that you're in the right area, you clean it, maybe you swap the cable. You know, you need to see that live data, and some tools can't interpret that well. Now, one thing not many people know, is that on a car, when it stores a fault code, it also stores what's called freeze frame data. So the car will take a snapshot of certain data points and store those in its memory. This is one of the things that drive garages mad, because the garages have the top-end diagnostic tools that can read this freeze frame data, and the AUTEL can do it. So basically, you get a fault code, or maybe you get loads of fault codes on a car. They're all in memory, let's say, and you don't know which one's valid. Maybe it's an intermittent fault. With that freeze frame data, it usually gives you the mileage it occurred. It'll give you other relevant information. So you can usually work out how old that fault code is and kind of like dig into, it's like the shot of the live data at the point the fault occurred. Really useful. So yeah, it annoys garages if RAC or AA clear out the fault codes to try and get the car going, because that might work. The car gets going, but you take it to a garage and you say, oh, it broke down, and you're like, well, there's no codes, there's no data. It deletes the data with that. So will these tools, I genuinely don't know. I'll be impressed if they can. Will they be able to read freeze frame data? I wouldn't expect that on any tool other than a garage spec one, so we will see. So another thing the AUTEL can do in high-end tools is special functions or active tests. So for example, if you get like it says the fan's not working or the water pump's not working, you can use the AUTEL. You can say to the car, turn on the fan, and it will turn on the fan, or it will turn on the water pump. So you can test individual components on the car, things like pop this charge point open, all that kind of stuff. You can use the diagnostic tool to activate something on the car, and that is really helpful for diagnosing certain issues. Garage spec tools tend to be able to produce a report as well, so you can print out all the fault codes, you can send that to the customer, that kind of thing, have a nice PDF. That's really useful. And battery life, obviously this one it doesn't apply, but these ones, what's the battery life like? That's old, the battery's not so good on that, but yeah, I'd expect this to have a pretty good battery. I'd expect this to have nice responsive screen. We will see. This one's obviously cheap. This is going to be interesting. Right, so I'm going to get set up and I will catch you in a bit. Right, so just getting set up, and the Topdon wanted to do a software update. Interestingly, just looking back, I actually bought that second hand for £50, but if you want to go and buy it, it's £159. So that needs to impress me a lot more. Effectively, we need to move this one over, because this is now the cheapest tool, and this one uses an app on your phone, so it's just like that dongle. This is the 100 and let's call it 160. This is the 260, and this is your garage spec. So this little Kingbolen, it came with this extension cable. There are links, by the way, to purchase this one and this one down in the description, and discount codes and stuff. Came with a little cable just in case obviously you don't want to have this sticking out. Comes in a nice little box, and it is very hard with one hand. Hold on, there we go. Comes in a nice little box. I think it had a little protector or something as well, but I've been playing with this one for a little while. But yeah, nice looking little tool, nice chunky thing, and comes in a nice little box. So this one uses the app on the phone. I guess that just cuts down their sort of cost of producing the item, and because they're maintaining an app rather than sort of the tool. But yeah, we will see what that can do. I mean, it's about 50 quid. So I kind of don't have very high expectations, but I really want it to do well, because if it's good, that would be pretty cool. Yeah, so this is the eDiag Elite. Yeah, pretty cool stuff. So yeah, it would be cool if that one is good, but we will see. Whether it can do pro stuff, you know, we'll see. So I have much more high expectations of this. Yeah, as I said, I've been using iCarsoft for a really long time. Really like their stuff. So the more basic tools, so the ones I was using years ago, the sort of £100 tools, the interface was a little bit clunky, but it was a basic tool designed for using at home on one vehicle. You can, you know, people are not going to pay hundreds and hundreds for an item that, for a device you're just going to use on, you know, if you've got one fault with your car at home. So that sort of £100 mark, that seemed to work, but they were really good, really good. Yeah, clunky interface, but features were really good. This is obviously really pushing up the, you know, pushing up the specs. Much nicer tool, touch screen, you know, just much nicer presented. You're getting it in a nice case. They all come with cases, to be fair, but you know, much nicer, much more professional tool. Little USB adapter, and there's a cable in here, which is the main OBD cable. But yeah, I just really like these iCarsofts. I've got a soft spot for them. It's what I started using. We will get this plugged in and see how it goes. But yeah, I have really high expectations of this, just because I know how good the sort of more basic ones are. So this should be really good. Right, cool. So let's go and see what we've got and go and see if that Topdon is actually doing anything. So one of the reasons I have issues with diagnostic tools with the Zoes, that one's complaining, is because of the different generations of Zoe. So, and that's actually the issue I had with one of them, where I had to get them to do some updates. So this is a 5am Zoe, so the first generation, he's got the metal box underneath. So this is a 2015, but from 2013, this is what they look like. Okay, Renault basically bought this drivetrain from Continental. Then slightly later, Renault made their own drivetrain, which looks like this. So it's got the black fan housing. So it's different. The diagnostic tool needs to treat it almost as a different car, because it is a different car underneath. It's got a really, really different drivetrain, different components, different ECUs. There's those interlocks I was talking about. There's interlocks on the other car that don't exist on this one. You know, so the data displayed needs to be different. And that Renault drivetrain continues into the, whoa, that was loud, sorry. Continues into the ZE50, but with some updates. So this one's got CCS, for example, because that's the CCS cable going up and over down to the battery. That previous one didn't have that. There's another module there, charge control module, that doesn't exist, so that does the CCS comms. So this is why it's going to be a challenge for the tools, and why I have difficulties, basically. And that was why I was sort of really impressed with those early iCarsoft tools. Okay, so this is doing something. Is it touchscreen? Yeah, I mean, it's a nice. I don't want to log in. I just want to do diagnostics. Why do I have to log in? I've got an account. Okay, this is seeming a bit laborious. Right, let me get this set up and I'll be back with you. Okay, I've logged in. I don't know why I need to log in to do diagnostics. I've used it a little bit in the past, but I'm gonna start like I've never used it before. So let's see if it can find the vehicle. Showing us the battery voltage, which is useful. So the Zoe is awake, high voltage systems awake, and the DC-DC converter's on, hence that's come up a little bit. So does it know what the car is? Okay, so it's read the VIN. Okay, so it knows it's a 5am Zoe. Okay. Now let's just do a scan. Okay, there's not a lot in that list. Let's do auto scan. Is it only going to scan those ECUs? Okay. That's pretty disappointing. So the only ECUs it knows about are ABS, airbag, power steering, and UPC, which is not... So fundamentally, I've got a car here with faults and I can't find them on this tool. So this is 160 quid. You want to exit? Yes. Now let's go back and see if it can do BMS reset. Start authorization. This is really annoying because it can't do the basic thing, which is find the ECUs and communicate with them. So like it can't talk to the BMS, but it's going to try and run a start authorization. I mean, really? And that is a genuine function. I've used that before in certain situations. But yeah, no, this is not. Oil reset? I don't think so. Exit, yes. Manual, right. Let's see if we can get anything out of this. Zoe. Enter VIN. Hold on, call it. Right, I've put the VIN in and it's decoded it, but also scan hot functions. Then, no, we're still back in the same place. So basically, this tool even though this is the first generation of Zoe, you would expect if a diagnostic tool could talk to any of them, it would be this car, and it can't. There's not really much point doing anything others because the main function is not going to work. So what I can say about this tool, in terms of EVs, well, in terms of the Zoe at least, is it appears to be totally useless. It's got a really nice box, it's got a nice interface, it's touch screen, it looks all shiny, but it doesn't seem to actually do anything. What I'm going to do is, I'm just going to move to a different Zoe. Let's just go to the second generation one and see what we can do. So these cars have all got faults as well, just to add to it, and I know what the faults are, so I know what... That's ZD50 still beeping away. I know what I expect the diagnostic tool to tell me. I just need to put the key in, because otherwise it may not update. I literally just updated this tool. It wants to update again. Come on. I spent more time doing updates and not actually got anything out of this tool. So that's not too good, is it? We've got lots of reflections here as well. Much better that way. That's better. Right. So let's give this another go. So we're going to do it by VIN auto scan. If it doesn't get anything on this, then it is a complete waste of time. I mean, they didn't... This tool doesn't say that it works with electric vehicles, but it says, oh, it can do all of this, you know, the yeah, okay, cool. The sort of marketing stuff looks good. Okay, it knows it's a Zoe 5AQ, so it knows what the vehicle is. Notice this. Right, this one is totally useless. Okay, Topdon makes some really good tools for EVs. This is not one of them. I strongly suspect if I plug this into my Zafira or another fossil-based vehicle, it'll probably be fine. For EVs, totally useless. Right. Let's move on to a different one. Okay, so I've got the iCarsoft out, and let's get this fired up. So, yeah, that Topdon one, I think the best thing for that tool would be for somebody to jailbreak it and put like some classic Nintendo games on it or something, because it's touchscreen, it's got the controls here as well. I think that would work really well. And I am very disappointed in that tool. Yeah, it doesn't say it works with EVs, but come on, give me some basic information. I have much more hope on this tool. Yeah, I've got a lot of history with iCarsoft. I really like them. Used a lot of their early tools. The interface on this is just so much nicer than the older ones. This is pretty cool. This is pretty cool. Okay. Yeah, so this is quite common on the AUTELs. You choose the manufacturer just because all the manufacturers kind of do their diagnostics in a different way, so it's not massively surprising. Yeah. Oh, it makes a few beepy noises. Cool. I want it to... Sorry, when I put my finger in front, just take the key out and put it back in to make sure the car is fully awake. There we go. Ignition switched it on. Yes. Can it read the VIN? Oh yeah, cool. Cool. Right, so it knows it's a 5AM. I mean, the other one knew about all of this, but then it came up with a whole lot of nothing, didn't it? Yeah, yeah, okay, we got a bit more stuff. This is a bit better. So it's making a few clicking noises. So within the OBD port, there's actually multiple CAN networks. So for a diagnostic tool to communicate with all the ECUs, oh, we've got some faults coming up there. It needs to flip between CAN networks, basically. So that has completed the scan, I think, hasn't it? Is it still going? Yeah, no, it's completed the scan. So this is a very AUTEL-like interface. So I can press report straight away. So it's scanned all the ECUs. Does it give me a list at the bottom? Yeah, okay. So this is going to be a little bit hard for you to read, but it's a lot easier in person. Yeah, it's just because of the glare. I don't know if it makes a difference if I shut this door. So it is giving me a nice list of all the fault codes. One of the most important things is to know whether they're active or memory. And it is giving me that. So I'm getting green. Actually, the green and red is what you get on the high-end Topdon ones, ironically. So, communications unit. Okay, we've got a potential issue with the rear camera. Telematics fault code. I'm not too worried about that. Okay, so EVC, interlocks traction battery charge. Yeah, okay. We knew about interlock. I've actually had the battery charge in connector off. So that is in memory, which is cool. BMS safety fault codes. Interesting. Okay. So DF006 from the BMS. We'll have to compare that to the AUTEL because that's interesting. Well, I hadn't written that one down. But, yeah, okay. DF006. Right. That may well be valid knowing the fault that this car's got. Interesting. Okay. So, yeah. That's pretty cool. What did it have? Has it got BCB? Yeah, BCB pass. Okay, interesting. Right. So I don't want to do a quick erase. I want to go back. So I want to go into each ECU separately. Sorry, I'm trying to look around the phone because that makes it easier. So how do we get into the live data on this unit? I do like this interface. It's sharp, it's responsive. I like this. I mean, you know, oh yeah, okay, cool. So we can get into them like that. So once you've found the kind of one you want, let's go into EVC. You can read the fault codes individually. This is really nice. This is literally just how the AUTEL works. But actually the screen's sharper. So within each ECU, if you wanted to see what like software version or it's so fast, this is faster than the AUTEL. Yeah, you can just kind of check on software version and what component it's got. You can individually read the fault codes from one ECU. Oh, look at the freeze. Oh my word. Okay, cool. Right. So where I was talking about freeze frame data, so where the car logs a fault code, it will log a load of data. So you got this little icicle. So this is all the information at the point that the fault occurred. So if the vehicle was moving, you can see that there, how many times it's occurred, the mileage, some sort of voltages and, you know, relevant stuff. So charge interlock opened. So that's the thing that's triggered the fault code. It's because I've taken a connector off to check it, basically. But it's stored a load of relevant information. That is really cool. Do I need my AUTEL anymore? That is the question. So yeah, fault codes is really, really good. I'm sure it'll be able to clear the fault code. I'm going to leave it because we want to do it on the other codes as well. On the other tools, sorry. So let's look at live data. Can it correctly interpret all the live data? I'm so pleased that I'm not disappointed. So yeah, sensor voltage. So that current sensor, that's quite normal. That's how it's displayed on the AUTEL. It's not actually 74 amps minus, but that's kind of how they all do it. Yeah, that's some 5-volt supplies. So a little bit of it. Yeah, okay, right. So some of this data, it can obviously interpret. So these are like the PID numbers. So like the car just has, it presents a load of data and just has like basically data item 2021 is 5 volts. So it's up to the diagnostic tool to be able to kind of dig down into that and tell you what it is. It would be nicer if this tool could interpret a bit of this bit better, and I should probably do a software update on this tool, but it is literally fresh out of the box because that may well improve. The other thing is, because I know their support is really responsive, if I raise that with them, they will improve that. Now let's try a different actuation test. We can try a different ECU as well. What should we do? Let's try and turn something on. Fan assembly is a pretty good one. So start. This probably needs this out. Can we do an actuation test? Oh yes, it has. Oh, it just turned off. I heard it. Should we do that again? So the first time it failed, that'll be because the car had kind of gone to sleep and I took the key out and put it back in again. So let's, yeah, it is success. Go. Here we go. So if we potentially had like an overheating issue, we could test the fan and we would know it's not that, basically, because it's obviously got power, it's got comms, the ECU can tell it to do it, and you can test it with this tool. That is really cool. So far, the only thing this has fallen down on is some of the live data. Was there any fault codes in here? No. Some of the live data it can't interpret. But I will raise that with them and likely they will improve that. So similarly in this ECU, so this is BCB, which is the top box, kind of pretty much the onboard charger. Live data's not totally there, like that'll be traction battery voltage. Yeah. Okay, so some of it's there. Oh, yeah, okay. Charging cable unlocked, earth resistance. Okay, well, it's not plugged into the mains. So this is the kind of things I want to see. Fuse box interlock into okay, this looks pretty good. So these interlocks are a good thing to check because they're different on the two versions of Zoe, like I was saying, because it has different covers and different connectors. So these ones are the interlocks for the 5am. So that is really good. And there is a lot of data here it can interpret. I mean, even the high-end tools can't interpret all of it. So fair play. Water temperature, that's pretty plausible. It is warm. This is pretty good, I have to say. Yeah, this is pretty good. All right, cool. Let's take this tool and move it to the next car. Right, I will just get set up on the next car and we'll see what happens. So what we're expecting is all those interlocks to be different on the other car, and that is quite a good test of a tool that works well with a Zoe. Right, back in a mo. Okay, so we're in the 5AQ Zoe. And let's fire this up. Try this, so I'm sorry about the screen glare. It's just, it is bright and we're outside. Right, I want you to identify the vehicle for me. The ignition is on. You can read it. It's really, really fast. I mean, this is faster than my AUTEL. It's a lot faster. And we didn't check if we can like do a printout of the report or whatever, but that's not really something you commonly want to do. Being able to get to the information quickly is the main thing. If they can do a printout, then that's kind of a little cherry on the top, but not massively needed. But yeah, it's done it, isn't it? Okay. I love on my AUTEL, this has got it as well, that report button. So instead of having to go into each ECU, you can just kind of see them all, basically. So instrument panel, yeah, we got some fault codes. Okay, cool. So it's putting the description on the next line rather than next to it, but it can give you the description for them all. Nothing, these are not really, these are just historical codes. A telematic signal, vehicle information. Stoplight circuit, that's quite common. Oh, there was a tyre underinflated at some point. Humidity sensor issue. Yeah, that's the one behind the rear view mirror. Right, if we keep going, we'll get to some actual real stuff. So, telematics, BMS error. I suspect telematics is trying to talk to BMS. That's not a real BMS fault, because they're all within the context of the ECU. So if you see BMS fault, it doesn't necessarily mean BMS fault. It means the ECU that's saying BMS fault can't communicate with the BMS. But yeah, that's not going to be significant. So this is pretty much charge controller. He's had issues with charging. Every Zoe will have all this kind of stuff. Yeah, so like if you plug in the charge cable slowly into the car, and then the lock tries to pop down, but it bangs into the bit before the slot because you put it in slowly, and Zoe's trying to put the lock down really quickly, it'll actually log a fault code for charge plug lock, because the lock, it tried to activate the lock and the lock didn't reach the desired position, if that makes sense. Similarly, if a charger ever tripped out, you'll get all that kind of stuff. So you get loads of these, so this is all fine. Yeah, battery health it's had at some point, not surprising. Ah, yeah, here we go. So this is what I actually wanted to see. And it's got these couple of codes. There is actually an issue with the motor controller on this car, and that agrees with the AUTEL. Yeah, interesting that shows that BMS safety code as well. I'll have to double check that, because I'm not sure if that came up on the AUTEL. Okay, that's pretty cool. So let's do the same test on this one. So let's go into, and let's do BMS just to, yeah, so you can kind of see what these are. So these will be state of charge, real state of charge, maximum charging allowed power, maximum sort of like drain power. That will be 3, 2, 3, 4. Not sure actually what that one is. Well, so that will be temperatures, insulation resistance, battery voltage, and then we'll be into sort of oh, there you go. Yeah, we're into battery cell voltages. Usually if you scroll down past some of the voltages, there's a lot more data and more sort of interesting stuff. Yeah, buzz bar differences and stuff. Yeah, here we go. Quite cool. Until it closed. Yeah, that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. Right, now we want to see EVC, so that we do the same on this one. So we should see those list of interlocks being different, and that is a really good sign. Right, the more data you retrieve, the longer it takes, but that wasn't a particularly long time. Okay, so this data is pretty good, isn't it? So some it can't interpret, but the AUTELs are like that as well. All diagnostic tools are like that. So some it doesn't know. Even some of the manufacturer tools are like that, to be fair. But you get to learn if there's a particular one that you need. You learn what it is, basically. It's just part of the fun of diagnostics. So, AC compressor interlock closed. Have you got some more interlocks for us? This is pretty cool, isn't it? This is pretty cool. Isolation resistance. Okay. Junction box to heating resistor. Yeah, okay. Junction box air conditioning pressure. Junction box cover. Yeah, man. This is cool. So we've got a different list of interlocks for a different generation of Zoe. That is really cool, because we had multiple JBs, didn't we? Multiple junction boxes, because this one, it doesn't have the separate junction box like the early one. That is pretty cool. Pedal supply voltages, refrigerant pressure, refrigerant temperature. Some of that's calculated. I won't worry too much about that. That won't be a diagnostic tool issue. So we got another couple of interlocks here. Traction battery interlock to PEM inverter, yeah. Battery interlock. This is pretty cool. I like this one. I like this a lot. This could replace my AUTEL, to be perfectly honest. It's faster than the AUTEL. Yeah, this is the real stuff. It's got these faulty codes. Comp faulty. Oh, postman, hold on. Okay, so I've moved into the ZE50. ZE50 doesn't have a key slot. You put the key there. I think this one's going to have some fault codes. Now, this is where my AUTEL falls down. Oh, I've leaned on it while I've been moving it around. So the ZE50 came out in 2020. My AUTEL hasn't been updated for a while, and I've not really needed it, to be honest. So I haven't paid for the updates because it's quite a lot. The other reason I haven't updated my AUTEL is because the ZE50 has a secure gateway. So basically, it requires a token from Renault to do a lot of things. This is new Zoe, and it is a 5AQ. So there's not a whole lot of point me updating my AUTEL if I'm not going to be able to do a lot on it, if that makes sense. You can do some things. It's not like you can do nothing. I mean, obviously this tool doesn't support unlocking a secure gateway. That is just going to be way above. I mean, this tool is impressive, but unlock tokens is top end of top spec garage tools. There's sort of like multi £1,000 garage tools that can't do gateway unlocks. So I'm really just not expecting it to do that at all. But the AUTEL can't even read the motor controller on here, and you should be able to read fault codes without unlocking the secure gateway, and that's exactly what we're doing here. And this is slightly interesting because it's not charging the 12-volt battery currently, which Zoe normally would do. So, but yeah, that's not nothing to do with this tool, it's just this car. So yeah, we're getting our green and red again. So just some less important stuff, and it's all in memory. So we got a brake booster code, so that needs looking into. So this car, I haven't diagnosed it. There's some thoughts from Renault of what it could be, but we will see. So telematics, I'm not really worried about telematics, to be honest. I'm a drivetrain specialist. Right, so a couple of codes, charging related, but as I was saying, you get those. This is really, really common on Zoe's, that you get an active code for the battery saying it can't talk to the EVC. That's on like basically every Zoe, so I'm not really worried about that. It is active though. I will look into it, but not really in relation to this car, but this tool's picked it up, which is really good. A load more memory. I see another one that's it's just a can thing. Yeah, don't go to sleep. Wake yourself up. Right. So a few leakage codes. Right. So this is what I want to see. So my AUTEL will not be able to read this because it can't read the motor controllers on a ZE50 because they've been updated, but this tool can. And this tool has free lifetime software updates, which is ridiculous. So I've got that BMS safety code again. We'll look into that in more detail, but I'm not particularly worried. This is the main code related to this car. Now, because we can go into here, let's look at the freeze frame data. Oh, I can't click through from there because I'm on the report mode. But if I go down to PB, read the fault codes, it's so fast. It's ridiculously fast. Oh, now I've woken up the dash, it's charging the charging the 12-volt battery. So I just started looking at the data. Mileage since last appearance of fault. That looks a little high. Since last appearance. Torque requested. So negative torque requested would mean that it was under regen when it occurred. The high voltage system was on because, like it is now, it's charging. And we've got our voltage, torque applied, engine speed. So whereas there a lot of negative talk and it was coming to a stop. So this is the kind of thing where you're sort of piecing these together. To be honest, freeze frame data, you know, it is mad that this tool could do that. If some of it wasn't perfect, I wouldn't worry. To be honest, if I contacted them, they would probably approve it anyway. This would probably be coming at the same time. Pretty cool. I like this tool. So literally this can do more than my AUTEL can do. Obviously, is it a fair comparison because my AUTEL's not up to date? Well, at the end of the day, the AUTEL is a garage spec tool, and this is not a, this is kind of a consumer getting towards pro tool. It's just so fast. Yeah. Okay, cool. So, yeah, I like this tool. So this tool can basically do everything I would expect. Can you see? Yeah, you can save your report. See what we can do. So it's saved it, and then presumably there's a section where we've got saved reports, and then we can then access those. I would guess some of them allow you to kind of print them out. Maybe in history. Oh yeah. So are these all the reports I've run that I can load? Oh, hang on a second. So if I disconnect this, hold on. So I've pulled out the cable just to prove it. So this is me just now, isn't it? Yeah, let's have a look. 11/21. Yeah, that's the latest one, isn't it? So with the cable out, so I could scan this card, go and get my cup of tea, sit down, and then go through it. That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. And then I should be able to get back to PEB. So the ECU that AUTEL can't even read, you run the report. So I pressed save on one, but it's saved them all anyway, hasn't it? That is mad. That is pretty. Yeah, that's pretty cool. I like this a lot. It is fast. The interface is actually really nice. So on the it's just telling me that it's not plugged in, but I just want to have a look in there. So yeah, we need to connect it to vehicle next anyway. Yeah, so on the early ones it was kind of clicky button and you could only see so much data on the screen and you had to go to the next page and it was kind of a bit slow, but it was a basic tool and I got by on those. This is like a world away, an absolute world away from those early tools. I really like this. Okay, and they all tend to be really feature rich, if I can get the words out. So let's say that you've got a couple of cars on the drive, you don't necessarily want to buy one of their top tools like this. You can go for the one that's specific to your brand of vehicles. You know, you've got a couple of Volvos on the drive, you've got a couple of Renaults on the drive, whatever. Go for the brand specific or the market specific, because the features tend to be really good. It might not be, the user interface might not be as nice because it's not as expensive at all, but yeah, I mean, I've bought the iCarsoft ones from all different places. They hold their value well, so I've bought them and then sold them again. Yeah, and just, yeah, I really like these tools. I've liked them for a long time, and this one is like really, really good. That's cool. So definitely don't buy that Topdon one because that was a disaster. But iCarsoft coverage of EVs, absolutely fantastic. So we need to test that other one as well. I had high hopes for this one because it is a more expensive tool and because of my experience with iCarsoft. What we expect from the other one is not necessarily as high because it's a 50 quid tool. This is a 260 quid tool. So, you know, this is good. But what's the other one like? We will compare and see. Right, thank you, iCarsoft. I still like iCarsoft. Cool, catch you in a bit. Okay, so on to the Kingbolen. So this is obviously an app-based one. You don't have to pair it to your phone. It kind of does that itself. So the first time you open this up, it just takes a couple of seconds and it sort of syncs up, which is kind of nice. Oh, in fact, it's doing it now, isn't it? There you go. So it's done that. So the next thing it does is try and scan for a vehicle. So there you go. It's Bluetooth's connected there. So we've gone blue. It tries to find the vehicle. This bit with the Zoe's is not successful, unfortunately. Whether it can't decode it, it makes lots of noises. Let's turn it down a little bit. Whether it just can't decode it or it can't find the VIN, I'm not 100% sure. But yeah, it kind of does this for a while, and you sort of have to sit here. I mean, it says VIN not recognised, but that still kind of goes around. Whether it's trying to decode it, I'm not really sure. Yeah, so you have to put it in either manually or select car model. I prefer to do it manually, so I'm going to type it in. One moment. Okay, we're in. So let's go for that. And it says check it's correct. So the first time you do a brand, it has to download the software as well. So that took probably about 10 minutes to download and install. I mean, I've got fiber to the property here. We've got like 200 meg or whatever. So fast it doesn't matter, that kind of speed, but it still took like 10 minutes. It had to unzip and stuff. So that was a little bit, yeah, a little bit laborious. I don't know if you're somewhere where there's not Wi-Fi, if you're on just kind of like, yeah, just phone network, how long that would sort of take. And then, yeah, you know, it's just annoying because you can't do that beforehand. It only does that when it finds the vehicle. So, but you know, so we can either see what ECUs it can find, or we can kind of manually select one. So let's do the search, see what it can find. All right, so it knows it's a Zoe. So we got three options. We've got health report, system scan, or system selection. So this is where you can choose them. I mean, I kind of thought that's what the previous screen was, and the layout of this is pretty unintuitive, but you'd kind of think system scan, that sort of sounds like the main thing. So this is where it tries to find them, and it talks to you as well. So yeah, it tries to locate each ECU. This is obviously where it's doing its scan. Yeah, and I think the interface on this tool is a little bit clunky, if I'm honest. And some of the layout is kind of interesting. So this is the tool that I've been sort of talking to the support, and we got a couple of things improved, but this could really be improved. But it is a cheaper tool. You know, it might get you out of a situation. You could leave it sitting in your glove box. So this is the easy use it can find. Now in this system scan mode, it doesn't show you whether they've got codes or not, so you have to kind of go into each one. It then shows you all the ECU information. Not really sure why, because it's not like you're going to say no, but then you can go into the DTCs and go into interlocks. One of the really odd things though is in this mode it doesn't show you whether the fault code is active or memory, which I found really odd, and I sort of asked them a couple of times, and that is available, but it's not available in the system scan section. It's only in the health report section, which is a bit odd. I just don't really know why you would do that. You can look at live data, so we can do that, and it is kind of live. Stuff does change. It does one screen at a time. So, you know, I think it's kind of the limitations of the sort of Bluetooth really, but it's pretty good. It's got all the, you know, got all the data on here. My interlocks are down here somewhere as well. Yeah, so yeah, we got some interlocks and they're all closed. Junction box cover, yeah. So this 5EM has a junction box cover, but the other 5AQ doesn't, basically. So, you know, that's pretty good, but I'm just not sure why you would have the section where you don't know whether they're active or not. I kind of like they've given you health report and system scan separately, but realistically, why aren't they just part of the same thing? So that the layout is just a little bit, yeah, I find a little bit weird. So now I have to rescan again. basically to find out whether they're active or not. And this section is much better laid out. So I'm kind of thinking, why does the system scan section exist? Because see, now here it's telling you which ECUs you've got issues. And if we go in, but it still doesn't show you whether they're active or memory, which is really odd. To find that out, you actually have to generate a report. And I have checked this with the support, and they said, oh, is it here, isn't there? And I kind of couldn't find it. This is really nice. So this generates a report. You can print this out, obviously, because it's on your phone. You might be connected to your printer and everything. Puts all the ones with issues at the top, and then it says, there you go, memory. So it's kind of like, yeah, a little bit clunky. Actually, due to this iCarsoft having a battery, we can actually find the report because I've still got it open. So even though this iCarsoft isn't connected to anything, this is just its history. So we can actually compare these two, which would be cool, won't it? So communications unit. So we've got these in a different format. So don't worry about the fact that the actual code is different. There are different formats of code, but basically we've got one for rear camera video signal. Okay, yeah, fine. And then we've got one from telematics, USB connectivity, and then EVC traction battery charge, interlocks traction battery charge, or charge battery interlocks. Yep. And that's all it's got on there. This one has got this one from the battery, this active safety code. I don't think that is anything to worry about, because some tools kind of show that on all cars and then some don't show it at all. So I think that is fine. I think these two tools are agreeing on what fault codes they're picking up, basically. Nice on that iCarsoft that you can see the previous ones. So this tool is good, but the layout is a little bit clunky. You can't see whether they're, whether they're active or memory. Sorry, and I find that a little bit odd. Now let's see what else we can do, because I think you can do active tests in here. You see, now I can do an actuation test. I don't think that was there earlier, was it? So we can do fan assembly. This is the one we did with the iCarsoft. Yeah. Okay, it wasn't happy with that. It's probably because the car has slightly gone to sleep, which tends to happen with the Zoe. Right, sorry, I had to pause there. So fan assembly. I'm just listening. Yes, it is turning the fan on. So it can do actuation tests. That's pretty cool on a 50-ish pound tool. Fair play. Test finished. So yeah, that's pretty cool. But so we've got this actuation test. We've got these 5 options. If we go back to system scan, did it have all of those options in here under EBC? I'm not sure it did. This is where I think the layout's a bit weird. I mean, I don't know. The sort of health part and the system scan are so similar, but the health one has more features. Really odd, but it's like 2 versions of the same thing, one with bits missing. So EVC, yes, yeah. Oh, it can do them. Yeah, okay. It's got all 5 options. I don't recall seeing that, but it is there. So yeah, let's go back. So system selection is just to get 1. But yeah, why? I don't know why you don't just have a scan option or choose an ECU, and then under the scan you want to see whether it's active or not, and then you want to be able to generate a report. Why are those 2 separate things? Because this system scan is kind of pretty pointless. The annoying thing as well is if you've done a scan and then you realise you can't see something, then you have to go back into a section, back into health report, and then kind of do it again, and each time you have to do the full scan. So I mean, I'm probably being harsh because this is a much cheaper tool, It's got a few other options. That's kind of the main one. I think this kind of tool, have I got the, hold on, do I need to pull this out again? I think this kind of tool is a real occasional use, sort of, I don't know what each of these does, I'm just kind of having a look really. Yeah, keep it in the glove box. It might get you out of a problem. It might be useful, but you might reach a limitation and that might be annoying and you might have to dig around to try and find kind of what you're looking for really. So yeah, it's obviously not as flashy as the iCarsoft. It obviously doesn't cost the same as the iCarsoft either. So, okay. It obviously does some other stuff and things. So it's going to do lots of other can things, probably, which this car doesn't have. Yeah. Anyway, we've done the main section anyway. What we're going to do is jump to the next car and see what happens. Right. Okay, so we are in the next Zoe over, so the 5AQ. So we're just going to do the scan. I half suspect it's not going to be able to decode the VIN, but we will find out. I've got the iCarsoft here as well for comparison, and we want to look at the live data and see what we can get. Alright, so this is the bit where you kind of have to sit here, and then I don't think it can do it. I mean, I don't know whether it can find it. But I sort of can't do anything while it's doing whatever it's doing at the moment. So we have to sort of wait for it. Right. Yeah, I'm going to type it in. I've got it written on the iCarsoft. One moment. Okay, I've put the VIN in and confirmed it. It always seems a little bit time consuming on this, but sort of it is pretty good for the price, I think, really. It's pretty good. If they improved the layout, I would be a lot happier with it, just to make it a little bit more instinctive, and just to show you the active or inactive kind of by default, because why not? So let's give it a search. So we haven't got a report option. So does the report option only... Oh no. Oh no, here it is, yeah. So I'm just going to go straight to health report, because the system scan section seems to be a bit pointless.
Variable PAS scanning. Parking prox can scanning. BMS scanning. EVC scanning. PEP scanning. Communications unit scan. Adaptation unit scanning. BCB scanning.
Yeah. So, alright, if we just look on the iCarsoft while that's doing its thing. Oh, it's just finished there. So, does it tell us how many we got total now? We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, there's a lot here, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30. 30. Click to load more. Don't want any more. Oh, there is more. 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39. No more data. Fantastic. 39. Right. Now I'm going to have to add all these up, aren't I? One moment. Okay, I have compared the fault codes, counted them and compared them. The iCarsoft actually has one more, but it's not kind of a particularly important aspect. There can be variation a little bit. Sometimes they're broken down slightly differently. So I'm not massively worried from that respect. What I would like to look at, so we're kind of saying that we think they've all got everything. What I'm going to do is just check the data. Read data stream. is pretty good, isn't it? I mean, I think, you know, considering what it is. Where are we? On the interlocks. That's what I want to check. Junction box cover interlock. Traction battery interlock. Traction battery charge. Air conditioning compressor. Heating resistor. Peb inverter. They look pretty good, actually. Yeah. So I had an issue previously with those interlocks and how they were displayed. They corrected that for me. Fair play. Fair play. It does look good. There is a small amount of current going out. The BMS. Measured by the BMS. It's pretty good, isn't it? Yeah, pretty good. Right, let's see what happens on the ZE50. Right, let's jump over there. Okay, we are in the ZE50. So can the bargain tool talk to this car? I'm not confident it's going to be able to find the VIN because it can't do that on the earlier cars. But we will see. We just have to wait. I think this one's all right if you got time. Oh, is it actually found it? Something seems to be happening. Okay, yeah, 891, that's correct. That is this vehicle. So it can do the VIN scan, but only on the latest car. Okay. Interesting. We are please waiting. Okay. Give it a go. Come on. I have actually printed out the reports that this one generates, and it was pretty good, actually. It was nicely laid out. Just generally, if you were using this every day, this is called New Zoe. This sort of ZE50 generation is often referred to as New Zoe. Yeah, okay, so it warns you about, let's jump into health reports. Warns you about gateway unlocking.
Brake booster scanning.
What can it find?
BCB scanning. BMS scanning.
Is this better on newer cars?
BMS safety scanning.
It's nice, and here it shows you the number of fault codes. Yeah, I just really... I don't understand why they've done that layout. Seems very strange to me.
AC air conditioning scanning. Parking brake scanning. UPC scanning. Adaptation unit scanning.
Well, I do have to remind myself this is not an expensive tool by any stretch. On the ZE50 as well, the diagnostic port isn't in the middle; it's under there. So, yeah, whether that would be more useful with the little extension cable. Okay, so has it got the PB? Because that's a change. Oh yeah, it can read the PB. Okay, let's jump into the report because that kind of shows us everything. This is not bad, to be fair. I think this one, I'm not sure whether you'd want to rely on it, but what it does is pretty cool. So let's have a look in PB because I know what. Yeah, road position sensor active. It's quite cool. I'm quite impressed, actually. Power line communication. That's quite cool, to be fair. I'm reasonably impressed, actually. To give it its due, this is a cheap tool. Yeah, give me a shiny report. Yeah, that's pretty cool, to be honest. That's pretty cool. Yeah, fair play. Okay, it can scan the ZE50, so my AUTEL can't scan the PEB on the ZE50. This tool can. It's pretty good. If you don't want to spend vast amounts of money, that tool's pretty good. I think it's rather redeemed itself. the fact that you can get information out of all of the ECUs. I wonder whether we can do an actuation test. So it's just giving me those. Right. So let's go into EVC. Yeah, I don't know why it shows you that. Actuation test. Right. Is it going to be able to do this? Yeah. Good old fan assembly. So the gateway security, yeah, you're meant to get a token and all that stuff. The main ECU is the gateway. Let's just wake it up. I mean, I won't be surprised if it can't do it because of the gateway on this car. So yeah, I will probably at some point do a video on the gateway hacking, because basically you're communicating with the main ECU, EV-ECU, and then it's deciding whether it's letting you in or not. Well, if you just connect behind it, yeah, I don't think any tool will be able to do it on this ZE50 without having the gateway unlocked. So I'm not massively worried about that, basically. Yeah, it does various things. Battery matching, that's quite cool. Yeah, TPMS resets. It's okay, isn't it? It's pretty good. Yeah, if you want something that's going to be a kind of good general all-rounder, you just want to keep an eye on it. You want to put it in the glove box for, you know, I guess emergencies if your car has a bit of a wobble and you want to be able to reset it. Yeah, why not? Why not? It's cheap enough to leave in the glove box, isn't it? Yeah. Yeah, it's alright, isn't it? It's alright. It's not as shiny as this one. I do quite like this. This has gone to sleep. But, yeah. It's alright, isn't it? Cool. Well, hopefully that was interesting. Yeah, so what I was talking about gateway kind of hacking. So this car, it's got the secure gateway, and that main ECU is acting as the gateway, but a CAN network is just basically two wires which go around to different ECUs. So so if I can connect behind that EV-ECU, then I can make requests to ECUs to do actuation tests, to do all kinds of stuff, and the EV-ECU is not going to stop me because I'm already behind him. So, and there are some kind of tools available to do that kind of stuff, but I need to do some digging, have a play, and see what happens. But yeah, hopefully that was interesting. So, I mean, you've probably worked out by now, I really like this iCarsoft tool. That is just, you know, that could probably replace my AUTEL. I'm really happy with that. It's not expensive for what it is. But also, in this way, the Kingbolen one, that's not expensive for what it is either. These are just two different tools, aren't they? You know, this is if you're really kind of working on a lot of vehicles, getting towards that high DIY into professional kind of end of the market. This is much more home use, isn't it? You know, realistically, these are two different tools for two different markets. I'm not a massive fan of kind of apps on the phone. I prefer it to be separate. Yeah, I prefer it separate. My phone's always ringing. You know, it's always going flat. It's just easier for me. It's on a separate tool. But, you know, I'm using it every day. If it's something you use occasionally, yeah, then, you know, yeah, this may well do the job. Cool. Hopefully that was interesting. Any questions, let me know, and I will leave you there. All right. Thank you very much.